that. I remember it was a clip of Bishop T.D. Jakes from the States. He said, like, in his church, um, that women need to stop acting so masculine and start being feminine. I saw it and I was like, I'm surprised he's saying that
Yeah, I would be
in the
surprised as
church.
well.
But there was so much backlash from it. I'm like, if y'all just shut up and listen to what he's saying, like it's
The women shut up and listen.
everybody, but more so
Okay.
women.
Can I
Sorry.
ask you guys a
Because-
question though?
Yeah.
What do you guys mean by them being less masculine though? Because I feel
What,
like
men?
no women, like we should stop being more like less masculine or whatever. Because I just feel like they're talking about independence. Like, do you know what I mean? Like we're more able to do our own stuff without the
Well,
men's.
Yeah, but men don't want that. They want to be needed.
I
Like when you
agree.
say I don't need a man, like the guys want to run.
But that's not
Who
really
wants- who
masculine
want-
though. That's not that to me. That's not really a masculine trait.
I would
though.
say, you wouldn't say like
You think so?
independence.
Yeah.
I would say that's masculine more
So
than
when
feminine.
so you
like
think
feminine like throughout all of history we needed men.
right?
We still need men. We just don't admit it. Like men built the world for us. We couldn't survive without them. They do the plumbing, the sewers, the garbage collectors. They build the buildings, engineering. They do all of the hard jobs in society. And so women pretend we don't need them, but we literally couldn't survive without them. Being able to be a single woman on your own is such a privilege that women have never gotten in all of society.
And do you know why you can?
And how we
sorry.
thank them is we shit on the men that did it for us.
And the only reason why you can be a single woman who is actually safe is because of men.
Police
Because-
I agree.
officers.
Yeah, because police officers, firemen, all the people that were going to protect you are going to be men.
I need to say something.
Go for it, Pearl.
But
If I call the cops and they send me a woman, especially here, because you guys don't have guns here,
Yeah.
what is she gonna do? I'm probably taller than her.
you know,
What if it's like a Helga woman?
When
like,
I see
oh,
security
Maze-
guards at women, I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like an
Well, I'm not
average
gonna
guy.
lie.
Okay, look, we play basketball.
Mhm.
Okay, and you know damn well that an average guy that's not muscular, that's like skinny, can
Mhm.
still beat us, and we're in shape.
I'm kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, what on earth is a woman gonna do to help me?
So, so that being said, though, Pearl, so you're pretty red pill and you're pretty based anyway. But what is it that makes women who actually know this? Because you just said when I say a woman security guard, I'm like, right? What is it that makes women try to go against the nature that we already know? That when men say men are masculine, we're stronger, we don't know this. What is the pushback? Why do women always push back against that?
I can't talk for women. I just feel like it's being pushed a lot, saying that we need to stop being masculine, but it's just based on just independence. Like, let's say worst case scenario, single moms, they do everything by themselves. Do you know what I mean? But I do understand where you guys are coming from. Like, there are roles based for men. Period. Like plumbers, I actually get that. But it's like I feel like in society today, women can do that too. But it's not maybe to the extent of a man can do it as efficient, as sharp, as more practical. Do you know what I mean? We're definitely gonna maybe ask for help, a little extra help from somebody. Doesn't actually necessarily have to be a man.
I think the point is that if all men disappeared tomorrow, women would be screwed. Where if all
Or not screwed.
Depending on what you identify as a woman nowadays.
Oh,
Well,
no.
exactly.
Another
Exactly.
conversation.
you know, I think I can answer your question. Why women do that? I think it's because what men do, we can put value on it, a monetary value on it, and women's natural skills. It's hard to monetize it in terms of, so if you're a woman and you're caring and you're feminine and
I
you're
agree.
affectionate, it's hard to put a price on that, and you can't sell something that you can't really put a price on. And I feel like because we understand the value of money, and obviously if we can say, oh, a man can do this and this is worth this amount, we value it more as opposed to a woman who can take care of a home and take care of the children. We're like, well, how much is that actually worth? Do you get what I'm saying? So people are naturally going to assume because you can put a price on whatever men do, it might be more valuable as opposed to what a woman can do, which is equally as valuable and different, but we just don't know how to put a price on it. Because if you say, for example, teachers or nursery nurse, they don't necessarily get paid a lot, even though the job is extremely valuable. Do you understand?
But didn't there used to be a time where men saw women as priceless anyway, and what they'd done as priceless?
But that's the
I think
problem.
it's because women are less valuable nowadays. Because we're not pure. Or they're like women aren't virgins anymore, and we're older than ever when we get married. The average age of first marriage in the UK is 31. How many bodies does a girl got by 31?
You know what? I could agree with you.
And so like they might have worshipped the ground the women from the 1950s
Yeah.
walked on, but those women had cookbooks. They were mothers. They were wives. Like half of our generation wasn't even raised by wives. How the hell would they know how to be one?
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like back in the days, you would think of a woman as priceless because we
Yeah.
can't actually put a price on what they do because in theory, it is priceless. As opposed to a man, there is a price for your skill set, your value, and all of this kind of thing. However, I think it's like, what do you call it? Marketing that's got people confused to think like because you can put a price on something that it's valuable, but most things that are priceless are the most things that hold value to you. Do you understand? If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to the video, Candace Owens said that no society can kind of survive without strong men.
Absolutely not.
However, this society seems to be telling men that they can be women, right? And if literally women. And so if we live in a society now that, as everybody knows, because what she said to me isn't that controversial because we know that societies survive with strong men.
Mm-hmm.
So if our society, Western society, is now telling men they can be women, what do you think the future for the society is going to be?
Jesus.
Hasn't every civilization that was like female-led crashed?
Yeah.
You know,
sorry, go on.
I was thinking about something like this recently, and the reason why I was thinking about it is because I saw a school student walking around with a bonnet on his head, and I've seen this quite frequently, like young kids wearing bonnets, young male boys.
What, men?
Yeah, men wearing bonnets on their head just casually, and I thought this is so interesting. I feel like what's gonna happen, maybe not for our generation, but the next generation of young people, kids or whatever. I think the women are actually going to be attracted to feminine men.
I said
well,
this.
Well, you
Okay.
say
Said
that.
this.
And you've got the, of course, you've got the K-pop phenomenon, haven't you?
Yeah,
In-
the androgynous type of man.
Yeah, exactly. So that's definitely possible. But
Yeah.
is that really what they're viscerally going to desire? I mean, maybe it is. I don't know.
But I think it's already happening.
I have. I don't know if it was you that told me this, but I was on an Instagram live a couple months ago, and they were talking about, would you date a guy that had like done stuff with like another guy in the past?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, like Naski, nada, never. And or like there were a guy that was bi, and they said the younger generation doesn't care, and he's
Right.
like, call your sister.
Mm.
And I was like, no way she'll say yes. Like, no way. So I call her, and I'm like Eva, Amelia, my two youngest sisters, like, would you date a guy that's bi? And they were both like, yeah.
Yeah.
How old are they, Mel?
And I was like, I mean, they're young. Like, my one sister is 19.
Oh,
And my other
okay.
sister,
Would
hold
you
on,
date? Would you
25.
date a guy who's bi?
No.
Why not?
That's why I'm intrigued.
No, that's why, because to me it was like a quick ew, no. And my other sister that's 21, 22. I have 9 siblings, so I forget. But she said no, but there seemed to be a cutoff with like the youngest too.
Because that's the thing, like you were just saying, I've said it on the show a couple of times, like women are now being attracted to feminine men.
Yeah.
Because they're becoming more masculine, the more feminine the guy, because, you know, essentially opposites attract. And like you were saying about the K-pop phenomenon,
Yeah.
where men are looking less like men and more like
Harry Styles.
Harry Styles,
Yeah.
right?
He's cute.
Men are starting to look less like men and more kind of morphing into like man-woman-y type, I don't know, androgynous type men. And so that's what women are becoming attracted to. A lot of women, not all, but a lot of women are becoming attracted to that.
But
Big
don't you think in some ways though the sort of the raw masculine archetype still wins through? Because if you look,
I think so.
if you read a lot of the sort of like the online advice that's directed at men, it's all very much. I mean, what does everyone bang on about the whole time? It's all lifting. You know, so, yeah, man, lift. You know, lift 15 times a day and stuff. And it's all geared towards becoming that apex, that sort of so-called apex alpha type guy. And I think ultimately that still cuts through, because if you take it to a slightly lesser extreme, not necessarily about people who are androgynous, because that's one thing, but what about the sort of man-boobed sort of
Chest feeding
millennium
type
sort of dude who's got the sort of hipster beard and
okay.
and carries a tote bag, you know, that kind of guy.
Right.
He's sort of like, he's not feminine as such, but he's also not sort of archetypally massive. You know, the edges have been softened, haven't they? For
Right,
all these
yeah,
dudes
yeah,
in
yeah.
society. So I think then if you're like an Andrew Tate type character, you know, you kind of cut through all that BS and you sort of still make.
However, I feel like this is one of the first times in history that the weak have governed the strong.
Well, yeah, like the tech overlords,
right? So these guys generally are like the weaklings, but they were intelligent, right?
Yeah.
And normally we lived in a society where alpha men would take over like nations, right, with armies and stuff. But it's no longer that. The revolution and the takeover is now an intellectual one.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, strength doesn't matter in that situation. What matters is how much you can outthink the opponent. And so a lot of the time now in these days and times, the weak are now governing the strong because, and I say that on another front where if your feelings get hurt, for instance, we can now cancel you. And we can now make new laws to make our feelings not get hurt. So the weak are now governing the strong. So the strong say things like Andrew Tate, like Kevin Samuels, to to cut through the nonsense, like you said. But if somebody's feelings get hurt, you understand who's really in power.
Well, yeah, and you've just got to look at what happened, obviously, with the Tates. Although, you know, obviously, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
But you know, it's a very interesting example, isn't it, of how everybody just sort of like all of his socials just went down like dominoes, didn't they? Within a few
because
days.
of feelings.
Yeah,
and that's the thing.
And even when I was at Carnival, like the visceral reaction I got from women, like interviewing them when I said, "What do you think of Andrew Tate?" and they're immediately like, "Da da da da," and I'm like, "What does he say that's that bad?"
Yeah.
Like, okay, men don't like old women. Like, who cares?
I don't think it's anything he says that is bad. It's kind of like with Kevin Samuels, how he before I first watched his videos, I'd be like, "Oh, Kevin, blah blah blah, he's saying bad things about black women, blah blah blah." But when I watched it, I was like, he's actually telling the truth. And so I think when it comes to women
you're such a
and
pick me, Jess.
Sorry, I think when it comes to women and not just women, but mainly in this conversation, when something is brought against them, they don't take the time to listen and look into what it is this person is saying. Is instantly like, you said something against women, we're going to try to get you off as quickly as possible, instead of sitting down, listening to what he's saying, taking the bits that are like, okay, maybe that's true, and the other bits be like, that's not true, and taking it in and being like, how can I better myself from this conversation that this man had, even though his approach may not be something that I like to hear, but what his words are saying is something that I may need to hear.
That's what it is. I feel like women feel a lot more by the way men say things, but going down to the factual things, we don't really take it in, as you said. Like, it's just based on, as you said, one word, and we're just like, no, that was rude. But it's just like, you have to take it in a bit more. But it depends on maturity.
But that's why I said the weak now govern the strong, because only the weak get. You know what I mean? Their feelings get hurt, and then they govern the strong, and they say, "Oh, you're not allowed to say that now." Now, there's no more strong people because the weak got offended.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about this the other day on that Fresh and Fit show, and it came up like, what did he actually get cancelled for? And I can't even. I mean, maybe somebody can answer, but I can't think specifically what he got cancelled for. Really, it was just he got cancelled just for being Andrew Tate. Really, and like one social media company banned him. Then the next one, and then they're probably sitting there in their boardroom thinking, "Oh God, we've got to do something about this guy." And then so the next one goes down, and it was like that, wasn't it? It wasn't. I don't think it was like a specific
there was a certain sentence or
I don't think it was
interview that done it.
I don't think it was anything specific that he got canceled for. Zuby was a guest, and I think he was flying a little bit too close to the sun in some subject areas and exposing certain areas of the world, and they were like, "Gotta cut him off."
Yeah.